We're talking about the Christmas-themed TV shows, and what I did was I grabbed 10 of my absolute favorites, things that I watched this year that I just really enjoyed. And I also grabbed a bonus, something that I try to watch every single year, and I have been watching since the 80s. So I want to talk about this today because for a few reasons. One, to give you some recommendations, but also for myself, I wanted a place where I can just have this saved in a playlist and I can just go to it every single year. So I also recommend you do the same thing. You can save this video in a Christmas watch list or Christmas recommendation playlist, and you can have access to it really easily for next year. But as I grab these 10, I found that there was quite a few of the episodes that I also really enjoy. So I wanted to put in the description down below every single episode in the shows that I'm talking about today that is Christmas themed. Some are going to be a little bit more heavy on the nose with it's a Christmas show specifically, but then there's a few of the episodes that only had maybe some Christmas decorations or a Christmas tree in the background. So I'm going to talk about my absolute 10, but I'm going to start off with my bonus. Now this is something that I saw way back in 1989 when it was on TV. So the very first time this aired was mid-December in the 80s, and it is The Simpsons. So the very first one here, this is the bonus, and I'm giving you the bonus first because normally I save it to the end, but I just wanted everybody to have this and do something a little different. The bonus is this one, Roasting on an Open Fire. If you've never seen it, this is just a great episode. So something happens, they spend all the Christmas money, and then Homer has to take a second job to try to make that work. They're still short on money, so then they go to the dog track, and I absolutely love this. It's a really good introduction to the entire show, to all of the characters, and our very first introduction to Santa's Little Helper on the back there. But all-time favorite. It's a classic. It's something I revisit all the time, but you can't go wrong, and it is in season 1, episode 1. Now we're diving into, most of these were from my childhood and things I grew up with, and definitely in the 90s, early 80s. But this one right here is How I Met Your Mother. So this one started in the mid-2000s. And there was a few of the Christmas episodes, but this is my all-time favorite. It's the one that really stands out to me. I think there was more Thanksgiving episodes, but this one here is something that it was in season 2, episode 9. It's called How Lily Stole Christmas. And in this episode, it opens up, and I think that's why it kind of stuck with me. It's all Christmas. It's, the entire thing, the entire apartment is just super decorated in Christmas. Lily's decorating. Marshall doesn't want to see it. And then as, they go on, he's trying to leave the house with his eyes closed. It's kind of goofy, played up for laughs. Obviously, he's bumping into the wall. And Ted, after he leaves and goes to work, Ted plugs in his answering machine, and in that answering machine, he's trying to cheer Marshall up because it's from a previous incident where Lily had left, and they broke up, and so Marshall was very upset, and so to cheer him up, Ted said, forget about that Grinch, and that's what they say in the show, but obviously he says a bad word, and she is hurt. Her feelings are hurt. She takes Christmas, she moves on, and then Ted has to spend the entire episode trying to get Lily to forgive him and explain himself, and then get Christmas back before Marshall gets home, and it's just it's one of my favorite episodes. I really enjoy watching this every single year. But yes, this one is How Lily Stole Christmas. Now, as we dive into Friends. Friends is one of my all-time favorite TV shows. I've been watching this since I was a mid-teenager and still till now. I used to binge this all the time. And before Netflix and streaming and all that stuff, this was the very first TV show I ever binged because I bought this DVD. Now, I bought the first 2 seasons on DVD when they were brand new. And then they were very expensive back then. I think these were at the higher price range, like $70 or maybe even closer to $80, with tax and stuff. So these were expensive, and it wasn't until the 3rd season came out where they started to drop in price around the $50 price range. So yeah, these first 2 seasons, it was the very first time I ever binged any kind of TV show, and one of my all-time favorites. But the episode we're talking about today is in season 2, and it is episode 9, the one with Phoebe's dad. So this one, Phoebe finds out her dad's still around. She wants to go visit him, but in that same time, the girls are making cookies for everybody because they don't have enough money for presents or to tip the mailman and the newspaper guy and the superintendent of the building. So they don't have money to tip anybody, so they're giving out cookies. But along that way, not everybody seems happy with that, and then their heat breaks in their apartment, and so they try to get the super to come back. So they're hosting this Christmas party with the heat broken. Everybody's basically in there with tank tops on and sweating and just dying for the Christmas party. But then you have the rest of the cast. Phoebe and Joey and Chandler are out going to see if they're going to find Phoebe's dad. And then I just really enjoyed it. They're putting up the Christmas tree in the very beginning of the episode, and at the end of the episode, they're exchanging presents. And then you have Joey and Chandler who are exchanging gas station presents. So it's just a really enjoyable episode, one I absolutely love. And then this one here. So this is in season 3, episode 10, the one where Rachel quits. Now this one here is just a great episode. So if you haven't seen this one, it is the one where they're trying to convince Rachel to quit her job. She's not happy. She wants to be in the fashion industry and to go that route. And if she doesn't quit, she's going to stay in the coffee shop forever. So they convince her to do that. Also in this episode, Joey is selling Christmas trees, but then Phoebe is upset that the crappy dead Christmas trees are getting put in the shredder. And so there's that whole, Phoebe's antics in the episode is just great. But then Ross accidentally breaks the leg of this little girl. She's, it's like a brown, they call her brown birds, but it's like a Boy Scout, but like what girls do. So she's selling cookies, and she can't do it anymore, and she wants to go to this trip, and so then Ross has to then become a brown bird and then go sell the cookies, and it's just an enjoyable episode. I really love this one, and obviously the whole Christmas stuff, I don't think you can go wrong. Clearly the best time to watch it is this time of year. Number 4 is season 6, episode 10. This one is The Routine. So this one is just a great one. It's in the later season. So Joey has a roommate, Janine. He's in love with her, but she doesn't really show any interest. But then she gets invited to, because she's a model, she gets invited to Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve, the dance party thing. So they're going to film that. And you have just a great episode because Ross and Monica, when they were kids, they had this dance routine and they always wanted to be on the show, so they get this opportunity to be on the show. So then that's just kind of goofy, but then Joey wants to put the moves on Janine because he kind of has fallen for her. But yeah, this is just an overall fun episode. Really enjoy that one as well. Now, as we dive into one of my all-time favorite TV shows, this is something I grew up watching. It was on every Friday. I know the reruns were on all over the place because I remember catching those as I got older. But this is Perfect Strangers. So this was part of the TGIF lineup in the late 80s, early 90s, and one of my all-time favorites. I've talked about this before, just these two together and how they did that whole vaudeville act, and just this kind of television is very welcome. I love physical humor, and they always just knock it out of the park. But this one here, the episode is season 2, episode 11, A Christmas Story. Now this one, Larry wants to go home to visit his family. He's bringing Balky with him, and he's super excited. They're going to go home, but then it just snows in. They can't get home. He tries every way. He even talks about like trying to rent a car, but then the entire episode, leading up to that, he was just so excited about everything that was going to happen. But then, he was going to be the Christmas boy, which meant he was going to, out of all the kids, I don't remember what it was like 9 or 11, a lot of kids. Every year, one of them got to give out the presents, and so it was his turn to do it. He was super excited, and then all the food and everything that was going to happen. So none of that happens, and then just one of my absolute favorite parts is, while Balky's trying to cheer him up, he dresses as Santa Claus. And so it's just a really enjoyable episode. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but yeah, the entire act that they always put on, this like vaudeville type act with the physical humor, I always thought was top notch. One of my all-time favorites. Now, King of Queens had a couple episodes, but there's 2 here that are some of my favorites. And so the very first one here is in season 1, and it's episode 11 called No Cowards. Now, this one, in the very beginning, you're hearing the Christmas chipmunk music play, and they're driving the car, but then the car, they need to repair the car. They're messing with the car, and then they decide they need to get a new one, but they can't afford a new one at the moment. So then Arthur takes it upon himself to get them a new car, but it's something they don't like. It's like a crappy car that nobody wants, and so they try to get rid of it, and they end up dumping it off, but then nobody takes the car. So it's just an overall fun episode. I really like this. And then they end up getting Arthur a gift that he doesn't like. So it's just, they didn't want to disappoint him for getting rid of the car, so they try to have it stolen. Doesn't work out, but then he doesn't like the gift that they got him. And yeah, just a really fun one. Absolutely love this episode. Now, this one here is in season 5, and so the season 5 episode is episode 11, called Mentalo Case. And so this one, they find out that some like childhood toys and favorite things from their childhood just have become collectibles, and people were buying these things again. So then as they have that conversation and they're making fun of their friend, Doug remembers this head, this talking head, and it was almost like a magic 8-ball. You'd just pull the string and ask it questions, and it would basically say yes or no. And it was just this goofy little toy, and Doug wanted it. He always wanted it, and he tries to track one down. Really fun episode, something I really enjoy. And obviously, for this, I think this show is top notch, and it's one of my all-time favorites. But you have Jerry Stiller here playing Arthur. I think he makes the whole thing. And so I was like, I've always said before, I've never been a huge Ben Stiller fan, but I'll watch Jerry Stiller any day of the week. I think he's just hilarious. Now, here's a perfect example. Now, it's a show that I love, and the episode I think is really great, but it's not one of those heavy-handed Christmas ones. I don't even recall any like Christmas decorations or Christmas tree, but the whole point of it is it's Christmas time. Pete has no money, Berg has to work at the hospital, and Sharon is trying to get her Christmas bonus by doing the Christmas holiday party. And so that whole conversation's there because if she screws up the holiday party, maybe she's not going to get her bonus at all or have a crappier job. And so they're talking about that, but Pete has no money, so then he kind of gets this job being the assistant to this traffic reporter who flies in a helicopter, and that plays into the entire show. But yeah, this is something I really enjoyed. They even go sledding in here, which then there's a mishap. But yeah, overall, really a fun one. But again, it takes place at Christmas. There's talk of a holiday party, but as far as like the Christmas vibes in the feel, it's not really there, but it's a fun episode. Really enjoy it. Okay, the next one here is something that I have it, but it's weird how I have it. So back in the day, I had, when I was in the Navy, I had an iPad, and so I got one of those, and I got in the habit of adding things on there. And so this was a show that I remember not seeing it in stores, and in the Navy it was harder to add stuff in like that, and so it was just easy to put things on the iPad. But then after I got out of the Navy, I just didn't remember seeing this in stores, and it wasn't until just a few years ago I started finding these in thrift stores and adding them that way. So digitally I have the entire show. Physically, I have season 1 through 6, but then the 4K was just, it just came out. It wasn't even just announced. It just came out this December here, and so it's something that I want to plan on getting next year. I added it to my Amazon wish list, so it's going to be a high priority of something that I have to get as soon as possible because I really do love it, and I haven't had the other shows on physical media in a very long time. So as we dive into this, it is Seinfeld. So the very first one here is season 3, and season 3, it was episode 12, The Red Dot. So this one here is just a really fun episode, and so George buys this cashmere sweater. He gets a really good deal on it because there's this microscopic red dot that most people can't see, but then all of a sudden people start seeing it. That's how he was able to get the deal on it. He gives it to Elaine, and then that just sparks an entire whole evolution and stuff. And then at some point there's somebody that was a recovering alcoholic that hadn't touched alcohol in a long time, and then all of a sudden they fall off the wagon. So there's just a lot of stuff going on in this episode. But yeah, all time one of my favorites. And this entire show, there was like 9 seasons of this, but there was only 2 Christmas episodes or 3 Christmas episodes. Now we have to talk about it. Festivus, season 9, episode 10. It's called The Strike. Now this one here, I think Jerry Stiller just crushes this entire episode, but there's so much going on. You have Elaine who gives out a fake number, and then she wants to, she put it on this back of the sub card. If she gets the next sub, buys the next sub, she gets one for free. So she's trying to get her free sub, and she goes back to this guy who she kind of blew off to get the number. But then at that time, she goes through some steam and all her hair is messed up and she looks like hell. And so then he gives her a fake number. So she's trying to get that sub sandwich, and that part's just a whole nother side plot. But then you have this whole idea that Festivus exists. So Jerry Stiller, George's dad, creates this fake holiday, Festivus. He invents this holiday. There's a pole instead of a Christmas tree, and you've got to air your grievances with your family members. And it's just an overall great thing. That's when you get introduced to the Human Fund, and it's this fake charity that George invents, so he doesn't have to give out gifts at the Christmas, switching out gifts for people in the office. And just something, like, I think, like, everything that could possibly go wrong for the characters in this, just kind of one after another. Just a wonderful thing. This is the one where Jerry's going out with this girl, and in different lighting she looks really good or she looks really hideous, and so it's just like, it's like almost like a Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde thing with the lighting. And so you have that. Oh, it's just a wonderful episode. Really enjoy that one. High recommend. But those are my absolute favorite Christmas TV episodes, the ones that I like to revisit most often. But I will have every single one of them from these shows listed down below. Let me know your favorite TV episodes. For more holiday watch recommendations, check out this video right here. And with that, remember to watch a movie today, and I'll catch you guys next time.